We're able to get back online, so,
Oh, we have an echo though.
yeah. It could be from somebody's workstation. It's weird.
Okay,
But, let you know, we are, able to record this back on YouTube.
excellent. Let's check our feedback.
I think it sounds better.
Mhm.
There we go. Thanks.
Fixed.
Yep.
All right, we'll proceed then.
For the record, Madam Chair, we did not send out a link to the public for this YouTube streaming or the WebEx meetings. There would not be anybody logging in online
Okay,
because this is.
because I'm sure this is an in the moment
Yes.
occurrence,
As
correct?
Mr. Bates stated there, we're just recording it.
Okay.
currently, And we will post it on
For
the.
YouTube.
We had no advance notice that we were gonna have technology today. We're still dealing with the aftermath of issues that happened a couple weeks ago. All right, so do we need to read the preamble then?
No, I would think not. Generally, we read the preamble for those folks that are calling in. or
Since we have no one, we don't need to do that.
Correct. Ready for me to call the roll?
Yep, we'll just start with the roll then.
Ms. Wilson? Ms. Holzer?
Present.
Ms. Bates?
I'm here,
And Ms. Roga will be absent this morning.
right?
So we have a quorum with 3 members this morning. So we should state for the record to
Yes.
the applicants that are in the room, when we have 3 members attending, you run the risk of a non-unanimous vote. You must have a unanimous vote for the decision to carry. And then therefore, if you do not have a unanimous vote, then the variance is technically denied and the decision of building and housing remains unchanged. So if an appellant would like to postpone to a future date, I think we would have a new hearing date within 20 days when we have all 4 members present. They could ask for a postponement at this time.
Okay, we are operating on 4 of 5 members ongoing at this particular point in time. We are unaware of when the 5th member might be appointed. So 4 is the greatest number of board members you would have if you choose to postpone. And we have 3 today. So is there anyone present who wishes to postpone their case until we have 4 members? Okay. Hearing no one, we'll proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We do have 2 postponements this morning.
All right,
Calendar number 24-087 at 1305 West 91st Street. This is for Leo Enortzi, owner proposing to establish use as limited lodging, commonly known as Airbnb. Is the applicant here today or anybody representing the applicant? Madam Chair, for the record, we did email this applicant last week and we received the postponement request from the councilwoman. So he has been made aware of the
okay,
postponement.
excellent.
She did not specify a date, but she would like to do a little research and also contact the applicant. So 30 plus days would be August 12th. Generally, that's the number of days that this board allows for postponement.
Correct. All right, I think we're in agreement with August 12th. Is that correct, Board? All right. So calendar number 24-087 will be postponed to August 12th.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The second postponement we received is for calendar number 24-091 at 2489 Professor Street. Chad Kusa, owner, proposed to construct a new 3-family dwelling on a B1 2-family residential district. The applicant called us this morning and stated that he received his notice late and was unaware of the hearing date, and therefore is requesting a postponement this time. We could get him back on pretty quickly for the July 29th date.
Okay. And Board, I think we're in agreement that July 29th is okay for that?
Yes.
Okay. Calendar number 24-091 will be postponed until July 29th. All right, anything else, Ms. Cookman?
That concludes our postponements and withdrawals.
All right. And we have no council people present, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I anticipate everyone is attending the fallen officers memorial service this morning. So we'll begin then with calendar number 24-010.
That's good. Wait until pulled up.
Yeah, and cheers, there is quite a delay on the WebEx side of things. It looks like the YouTube stream is actually caught up, but this display isn't. Kind of choppy. Like it's catching up.
Is the screen behind us?
The screen behind you is right on cue. It's up to the correct slide. I'm gonna try to disconnect and reach out here.
Your choice as to how you'd like to handle that.
I could read it. I just want to make sure that everyone could see what I was reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Alright.
audience can see very well.
Okay, cool. Our first case is calendar number 24-101. This is at 1555 East 118th Street. 1555 East 118th Street LLC owner proposes to erect one new 3-story multi-unit building on a parcel land with 2 existing residential houses, parenthetically 18 total units, and a 14-car parking area on a newly created 22,845 square foot lot in a C1 General Retail Business District. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 4. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Wilson for the oath.
Thank you, Ms. Older. I was swearing all who are present for this case. If you're present for this case, I'll have you come forward. If you need to pull chairs up, feel free to do that. All right, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? You raise your right hand, reply with I do, state your name, spell your name, and give your address. I'll start with you.
I do. Kevin Oliver, KevinOliper, 7100 Euclid Avenue, Cleveland, 44103.
Thank you.
I do. Jeff Shoykett, JEFFSHOYKHET, 12026 Mayfield Road, Cleveland, Ohio, 40106.
I do. Carmen Imarino, CarmenIammarino, 12026 Mayfield Road, Cleveland, Ohio, 44106.
Thank you.
I do. Gloria Brown Woodford, BROWN-WOODFORD,
You give your address.
11910 Wade Park Avenue.
All right, seeing no one else present at the table, I will hand it back to you, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you. All right, who's going to be the spokesperson?
I will.
Okay, are you the architect?
Yes.
Yes, that's what I thought, Mr. Oliver. Okay,
Madam Chair, would you like the history?
yes, go ahead with the
Sorry to
history,
interrupt.
please.
Thank you. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. In our Records Administration Office, we found that in 1908, a permit was issued to erect a 2-story dwelling at this particular address. 1930, a permit was issued to erect a 1-story garage. There are no, Madam Chair, actually, there is one variance case, calendar number 23-218. The same applicant requested a variance to erect 2 buildings with 20 units altogether. This case was was withdrawn. And I could give you that specific date. It was withdrawn on February 2nd of this year. So you may remember this project.
Right,
So again, there was no decision made on this. And that's all that I have for the history. Thank you.
okay, super. We'll go to legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the Board of Health is requesting area variances from the maximum gross floor area, parking, and required rear yard requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove the design request will create practical difficulty not generally shared by the neighbor buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights. and the granting variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning.
Super, thank you so much. Okay. What we'll do, Mr. Oliver, is I'll have you go through, tell us what you want to do as it relates to the variances that you're seeking. Anyone else from your project team that wants to speak in support of the project can speak. And then we go to anyone who might be in objection. Okay? All right, go ahead.
Thank you very much. So as Ms. Kukla said, we had previously proposed this project as 2 buildings with more limited parking. After going through the planning commission process, meeting with city planners, various community meetings with community groups, I think Jeff and Carmen here, the owners, can speak more to that. The project is now a single new 14-unit building, 3 stories at the front and 2 stories for the remaining portion of it. There are 2 existing multifamily buildings on the site already to the north there, Building A and Building B. Our new building faces East 118th and then has the majority of its mass extending rearwards towards the existing cemetery at the rear. So we're providing 14 parking spaces for 18 total units on the site. We're going to participate in the traffic demand management program, which reduces that to 0. So our strategies for doing that are to locate the parking at the rear of the site, provide bicycle parking, bicycle fleet, and by providing less than the minimum required parking, we get a couple points in that program as well. But acknowledging sort of the intended use of the building, of being nurses and students, and their somewhat reduced need for parking, and providing the amenity of the bicycle storage, bicycles, and keeping the parking off of the street to help maintain the streetscape, which I think also the massing of the building allows that streetscape to be maintained, leaving existing houses where they are, adding on to them here. So the building sits close to the side and rear yards, but not inconsistent with the other developments nearby down the street. So we're providing access along those areas, fence between our parcels and adjacent parcels. Again, after having gone through the various community meetings and planning commission, sort of have come up with a balance of parking, open space, and building mass and density that seems to fit in with the character of the neighborhood as it continues down the street there. I think there's other elevations I believe in the presentation. We'll go to the next. These are some civil drawings we can get to the elevation. These are unit plans, again, combination of 2-bedroom and I believe 4-bedroom units, accessed individually and independently. Previously, the entire building was 3 stories. Now there are roof decks at the rear portion of the building, whereas the front facing East 118th Street has a main 3-story area, and then the 4th story sets back. You kind of seen that elevation at the bottom as well. I believe that's.
1 second. Xavier, any chance of getting the visuals up on the other screen?
The only other option right now, no.
No.
It's like an extreme delay for some reason, like 3 minutes or so.
Ah, okay,
On the screen behind you, I'm advancing through the slides. I
Okay.
could try to, I can only connect to one wirelessly from this device.
okay, all right, that's fine. I think so, I think that's probably what I have, but I didn't print everything. Sorry, go ahead.
So again, I think that the planning configuration we've come up with, while not meeting the specific letter of the zoning ordinance, fits in nicely with its environment, doesn't create unsafe conditions or anything out of character for this area. provide quality housing in that area, close to mass transit. Again, mainly for, I think, students, nurses, fellows at various hospitals there. I don't know, Jeff and Carmen, if you guys want to speak about the community meeting process that we went through. I know there were a couple that occurred.
Yeah, we went through and there's two existing duplexes on the site, so, you know, our plan was to save those two duplexes instead of demolishing it and build some much bigger. We got mixed feedback on that from the community, but we felt it added to the historic fabric of the neighborhood. In addition, the new one building, it's 14 new parking spots for 14 new units. While we, you know, complying with the new transit management, we didn't have to do any, but after the community meetings, we felt this was a way to kind of relieve some of the parking pressure on the neighborhood street. And we got rid of a 6-unit building that would have maybe been a little bit too much for the site. We felt this is appropriate, and just after talking to the community and the feedback that we got from the last meeting, it was pretty positive.
Yeah, I would think after the first initial meeting that we had back in February was a feeling of the community not overly aware of the new TDM management. So, you know, our proposal for, I think that one was a total of 24 units with the existing duplexes and 6 parking spots. So it would have been, you know, a lot less parking. And the parking aspect was probably one of the biggest pushbacks that we received from the community there. Weren't a whole lot of design comments. We feel that the overall design does fit in with a lot of the townhomes present to the south along 118th from Euclid coming up to Wade Park. So we do feel that the building that we have, the main building there, the new proposal is just a continuation of a townhome design project. But ultimately, when we postponed it from the first meeting here and took a relook at our site and taking into account the community comments, we ended up scraping the design of the back building there to open up the surface parking area. And then when we re-presented back in April to the community meeting, in my opinion, I thought it was a little bit more well-received because of that increased parking ability. So we are trying to find a compromised blend here between a little bit less parking requirements, but also trying to utilize some of the TDM new standards there to create, you know, what we think is going to be a real beneficial project for the neighborhood.
We did reduce the massing as well, so there's no 4th story on those back
Correct,
townhomes.
even on the existing.
Right.
But it fits in kind of with the context of the neighborhood with that front design with the doghouse and the condominiums or townhomes immediately next door are 4-story. And we've had positive conversations with their board president and our neighbors immediately surrounding the property that are, you know, in favor of the project.
Okay, great.
And maybe just lastly, just to finish out item 4, we did receive planning commission approval for this
Okay,
site plan massing version.
right. I suspected that you might have by now, so that's good. All right, so we can X that up. So I'm just looking, are you doing bike rooms or just like storage or?
So there will be an enclosed and sheltered bike storage area behind the existing 2 duplexes.
Okay,
So the exact number eludes me right now, but I want to say it'll hold a couple dozen bikes. So to meet those TDM standards, it can't just be bike racks. It needs to be sheltered, secure area for those.
and will it include a bike repair kiosk?
Correct, that's the plan currently.
Okay, great. And what about scooter parking?
We don't have any specific plans for scooter parking at the moment.
Okay, I think that might be advisable to allocate some space for that.
Yeah.
Because that's another very popular mode of transport for particularly, I think, your target market,
Sure.
your demographic you're going after. And also, what's your relationship to RTA stops?
So there's RTA stops essentially up the street on Euclid from East 118th. And then I want to say there's a circulator for Case Western that.
Right.
And
There's-
there's
There's a
stop for
a
is
blue line pickup,
blue line
which is
pickup
part of the.
right in front of the property.
Right in
The
front,
circle
perfect.
shuttle. So
Okay,
that's what most of our, we have some other projects in the neighborhood that typically most of our residents will utilize the circle shuttle.
Or
as
walk,
opposed to
we're
RTA.
right across from the baseball field from Case Western's
Yeah.
baseball field, and we're projecting that a majority of our tenants are gonna be either upperclassmen or people that work at Case, or maybe people that work at UH or the clinic that are,
VA.
Right.
or VA that are, in close proximity,
Yeah.
walking distance.
yeah, you're right in the hook there.
Yeah.
And in our discussions with traffic demand management folks, they've given us feedback and we've talked to them about what strategies to employ. I wouldn't say there's 100% consensus, but there are opportunities to subsidize transit passes. It's one of the strategies to
Right.
earn points. Their thought was, the students and the hospitals sort of give those by right to their students as part of what you're paying tuition for. So sort of pulled off on that strategy and more onto providing the cycling amenities, repair, storage.
Right.
And we did have conversations with UCI and Case Western. There is a parking lot right down the street in case, some of the tenants do have cars that don't fit in to the one-to-one unit. And they have plenty of parking there for the monthly parkers if need be.
Well, and I'm always sensitive to those people who might be ADA
Sure.
So
and need ADA parking adjacent to their living space. So be sure that you have that allocated. All right, I'm gonna go to you, ma'am.
Okay, well, what they're saying sounds great on paper, but for the residents that live there, all the students that come there, they're thinking that they won't come with vehicles, but I live in the area. And there are a lot of students in one house next door to me. There are 5 or 6 students. All of them have cars. They all park on the street any kind of way. So what they're saying is they're gonna catch the bus. They do walk to school, but they leave their cars on the street. So especially in the wintertime, I have to call the city almost every day that we have a heavy snow to have them come and plow the street. And then they can't do it because the students are in school and their cars are on the street. So parking is still a big issue.
Still a big issue.
The streets are narrow, the trucks can't get through. So the building is fine. I'm okay with the building. It's
Okay.
just the parking situation that I see now.
That is always the problem in that area.
Always the problem.
Always the problem in that area. Okay, so they had 18 spaces required and they're proposing 14, so
Yeah, but
they're,
they have 2 and 4 bedroom apartments now.
right,
By right, you can have 2, 4, 6, 8 students or however they want to bunk in a room. And all of them will have a car. And I see that the city is already catering to the project because they came like 2 days after our May meeting and removed all the no parking signs. So I almost didn't come down here because I thought it was fruitless, but I said I was gonna voice my opinion anyway.
good, I'm glad you came. We appreciate that. Okay, we're gonna go to, let me go to Ms. Kukla, do we have any correspondence?
We do have one email from Natalie Hatchett. She's at 1532 East 120th Street. She states that she's completely fine with the project. And that's all that I have. Thank you.
Okay. Nothing from council?
No.
May I say something?
You're not sworn in, ma'am, were you for this case?
Yes.
All right, we didn't get you sworn
I
in?
was late.
Okay, yeah, we'll swear you in now. You can pull your chair up if you'd like, or you can speak from that spot.
From here is fine, unless you want me at the table.
It's okay, we just need to swear you in though.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give to be nothing but the truth and the whole truth? Raise your right hand, reply with I do, state your name, spell your name, and give your address.
I do.
My name is Barbara Wilcher Norton, BARBARAWilcherNorton. I live at 11305 Wayne Park Avenue. Thank you.
Great, go ahead, ma'am.
Jeff and Carmen, yes, they came to the meetings. They made the
Tell us
adjustment.
which meeting this is, because you.
This is neighbor to neighbor. We're the same meeting.
Okay,
They came, the first meeting was hosted by Case Western Reserve, UCI for Jeff and Carmen.
okay,
That's the one where there was a whole lot of the pushback on the parking. We were talking about 7 parking spaces, the 24 units, which was far too many for that lot. And then they came back to neighbor in April. That's the April meeting they are referring to.
okay,
And they presented, and there were still discussions about parking. These issues are, and our issues were, as Gloria has already mentioned, you have a 4-bedroom unit. If 2 people in the 4-bedroom units have a car and only 1 in the other, you've already doubled the spaces. And my concern, and I said it to Jeff and Carmen, was if you use up all 14 spaces, but if one of them has a party, you can't guarantee that these people aren't coming in cars. I don't know how we solved the issue for that. We did have the traffic, the head of traffic come down, city traffic and planning come down to our meeting. We talked about making the street one way. I don't know if that helps with parking, but we are trying to do things. I guess my main point is, and this is nothing against Jeff and Carmen, I've told them, as we look at the quote for density or a walkable community and all of these changes, we have to be very realistic about where we're putting these projects and what we're doing. And some of them are just too big for what's there. I think that the project will be great. The impact on the community, I'm not sure in terms of the level, the resources, the level that are there. I'm in support of the design that they have. I share Gloria's concerns about parking. I don't know how we bridge the gap. But I think when we think about these projects in the future, we need to start thinking about the area and bridging the gap between residents who live there and what you're trying to bring. That's it. Thank you.
and, your comment is something that we hear particularly in certain neighborhoods, yours being one of.
Right,
So,
I mean,
yeah.
you've got a historic, single-family residential neighborhood. 90% of it, we do have streets that have the multifamily units on it, but it has an impact on the whole community.
Mhm. Exactly. Mr. Bay, you speaking on behalf of city planning?
Yes, Madam Chair. Hello, my name is Xavier Bay, representing city planning. The neighborhood planner for this area is out, so I'm just relaying their support for this project.
And who is that?
Thanks, Scott.
Kim Scott, thank you.
Yeah, as was already mentioned, this project has been before City Planning Commission and already received approvals. This is, and the site plan that we're looking at today is superior to the original site plan that was proposed for this site. As they mentioned, the 2 buildings in the rear have been removed to accommodate for increased parking for the new building. With that, we support variances being as per today.
Okay. Let me ask you this, because, Ms. Norton mentioned that the, traffic people had been out for the community meeting. Is there any movement by that department to, alter the traffic flow on the street?
Not that I'm aware of, but I can follow up with the neighborhood planner, what I believe was at the meeting,
Okay,
and follow up with the neighbors who came today.
okay, let's see if we can't find something that is going to, reduce the stress on the traffic in that area. Okay, all right, I'm gonna go to questions from the board now.
Excuse me, yes, Madam Chair. My question would be around any practical difficulty that you would face if you don't get the variance that you're looking for here today. So you sort of just think about it.
It's not a viable project. I mean, at that point, this is pretty much, we will reduce the unit count by from 20 to 14. At this point, it's a marginal project at best. We wouldn't get construction financing, we wouldn't be able to do the project if we didn't get the variances.
Understood. Thank you.
Sulzer?
That was gonna be my question.
Okay,
So-
caught you mid-writing,
Mhm.
but anything else?
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right. Did you have anything that you wanted to say in rebuttal to the ladies who are representing the community in objection?
I think just, would like to remind the board that, we did meet with the community 2 separate times, really tried to take into consideration all the feedback that we did hear from the residents, and try to strike the balance between finding a viable, feasible project along with, addressing some of the community concerns, especially around parking. We're also, even though we have parking and are not going for 0 spots as part of that new TDM program, we are encouraging, and we will continue to encourage, hopefully once the project is built, with your blessing, for a multimodal district here. We think that the location is a really strong location, being a walkable, movable, bikeable sort of location that is around not only employment bases, but educational centers as well. And, to encourage that amongst our residents to not bring as many cars if it's not needed. And I think from what we've seen, as I've mentioned, we do have some other projects in the University Circle area, similar bedroom counts, 3 and 4 bedroom properties, still with the 1-to-1 parking ratios historically previous. And in our experience, we've seen less cars being brought to campus because of the ability to be so close to classes, employment bases, as I said previously.
Let me ask you, do you think there's anything you could do to further incentivize the residents not bringing vehicles and using public transportation or active transportation?
I think providing the bike fleet, on site as a possible way. We have explored the car sharing, the ride sharing features. I think our main concern there is the liability factor. Same thing with
Right.
buying scooters. We've thought about buying our own
Right.
scooters to have on site with trackers and everything. It really becomes a liability. So we've been encouraged by our legal team not to pursue that route, but to, try to follow the TDM project standards that they have in
Right.
place.
Have you talked with anyone who has a ride sharing? I'm not talking Uber, Lyft, but the
Yeah.
actual car sharing.
We did the car share company. I forget where they're based out of. I looked into that. It is a one dedicated space that we would have to provide for that, or 2, however many cars. So ultimately, I know we've seen it on other projects. I know Uptown did it originally, and, just talking with the developers there, they end up scrapping it after a year because they said it was a lack of usage for it. That's why we really think providing maybe some of the non-auto forms of transportation would be better here.
Okay, all right. I know that that's very popular in Boston, which sort of replicates this high density of education and, health facility and university kind of situation, so.
And just to speak to the additional development in the area, this is one of, I think, the only sites within a quarter mile of a rapid site. We did kind of a mapping, I don't know if it showed up in the slides, but there's not that many other sites within the neighborhood that can qualify for the transit.
Right.
So you're within which rapid stop is that?
That's the Euclid.
The Euclid
We're on
stop.
the health line.
We're on
The
the
health
health line,
line,
yeah. So that was part of our initial thoughts, when we knew about that coming through. The 20 units with the 0 parking kind of made sense, but once we talked to the community, And we're trying to, you know, accommodate both aspects here.
Yeah,
where-
it
where-
was a community concern that, okay, if this TDM, you know, is in place, how many other projects now can utilize this? We're fortunate enough to be within that quarter mile, but there are not many other vacant sites that would qualify for it. So, you know, hopefully if there is future development, which we encourage in the neighborhood, that, you know, they would still need to meet the zoning's parking requirements.
Okay, thank you. All right, so ladies, what we're going to do is I'm gonna make sure that Mr. Bay gets you, if you don't already have it, contact information for Kim Scott, who's the city planner for the area, so that we can work on the traffic in the streets for you. Okay? At this point, we're gonna move forward. I'll entertain a motion.
Just one more question, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Did I hear you all say you have an agreement with someone who had a parking lot nearby?
We've had discussions with UCI in case they have a parking lot down the street and they're about 50% occupied. So there's plenty of monthly parking available to Case Western students or faculty that want the monthly parking down the street in a secured lot.
It's paid.
You can-
They have to
You
pay.
just need to understand that is paid parking.
Paid.
So if I have an option not to pay for the park
Got it.
and pay the park, I'm choosing not to pay.
There's some incentive you can
Right,
make
We
around
can
that.
look into that.
yeah, I think that would be a good,
It depends on who ultimately ends up leasing these units, whether it's gonna be students or faculty or nurses. But yeah, if they're,
Fellows,
yeah.
if they're associated with Case or, you know, we'd be more than happy to see how we can partner with the university to accommodate some of the additional parking if there's additional demand for, you know, those spots on top of the one per unit.
is that something you would want to have as a condition?
I was thinking about that. I think that would be prudent,
Okay,
just so that there are no issues with parking, going forward.
Okay.
We would do our best efforts, I guess, because, you know, if they're not Case students or associated, if they're just tenants, you know,
Right,
we
and-
can't guarantee that we don't control that part.
And I think my only response to that would be is, you know, given the fact that we've already scaled back this project already, you know, to be required to provide some sort of additional paid parking for this when as part of the TDM, we would be meeting the zoning code requirements, I think would place an undue burden on us. So I would hope that the board would take that into consideration and not make that a condition because we are providing the parking, providing the TDM requirements here.
But in all fairness,
Yes,
the-
ma'am.
The original housing that was there was I think it was a 6-unit apartment that was there, and they're replacing it now with, what, 14, 18 units? So 14 units, so, but originally it was a 6-unit apartment building that was torn down,
okay.
and they had parking.
Understood. Okay, well, just to reiterate, item number 2, which is the variance they're seeking, is a requirement for 18 spaces, and they are proposing 14. So I understand the situation, believe me. And as homeowners, you know, you have a vested interest.
I hope so, because they
Yes.
took down all the parking signs, so I didn't see.
Right. So, Ms. Ring, you'll address that. And see what you can work out.
Great.
Great. Okay. So, you ready?
I'm good. I think
Okay.
you were gonna say
Ju-
something else.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't us that requested the parking signs to
Oh,
be
no,
taken
no,
down.
we know.
No,
You're right, you're right.
Okay.
You don't have that
Yeah.
But you
I
had,
understand that, Jeff.
you had said at our original meeting, after March, parking would be a no issue for your project. You did say that.
That's correct. The parking
So-
variance, because we're complying with the
Yeah,
transit,
okay.
it's a 0 if we don't have to,
right.
yeah.
So
Okay.
that's why
That's
I'm
All
here.
right. So you're ticking a lot of boxes. You're within a quarter mile of Rapid. You're adjacent to public transit. You're going to do the bicycle parking. You'll add some scooter parking. And you're going to have the bike repair kiosk. And you'll
for-
work to incentivize anything else you can do. All right, and we're gonna have, the city planner get in contact with you. All right. Are you ready, Ms. Wilson? I'm
I'm
assuming
ready.
you're gonna take this one?
You rattle off a few things and I'll hopefully track all of them. So,
Okay.
Madam Chair, based on the testimony that we've heard in calendar number 101, I move that we approve the request for the variance with the condition that the applicant takes into account the issues with parking by providing a vibrant fair kiosk and incentivizing the additional 4 spots to sort of park somewhere other than the street. And then were there other ones, provide spaces for scooter?
The scooter parking, basically they're in compliance with the new, transit. The formal name is escaping me.
TOD.
Yes, the TOD,
And it's a transit demand management program.
Transit Demand Management.
There we go,
Transit
so with the
oriented
condition
development
that the
initiative.
applicants comply with the TDM program.
Otherwise what we know as TOD, Transit Oriented. So there we go. New acronyms. Okay,
Alphabet soup.
yes. All right, could I have a second?
Board Member Holzer, a second.
All right, we have a second. Ms. Kukliff, you want to call the vote?
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Holzer.
Yes.
Ms. Faith.
Yes.
Calendar number 24-101 is granted. Be ratified next Monday and we will send you a letter, but please feel free to contact us on Wednesday of next week for further instruction.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Bay is going to give you contact information from Ms. Scott.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
I must say, the new iteration, the smaller is
Yeah.
much better.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thanks for putting that effort in. All right. Goodbye, Mr. Oliver.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on. 24-075.
Sounds good. Our next and last case of the day is 24-075. This is at 4098 Rocky River Drive. Rocky River Rental Property LTD owner proposes to establish use as a tattoo studio in a C1 residence office district. The owner appeals freely from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 2. This case was postponed from June 24th, 2024, due to a scheduling conflict on the appellant side. Wow, I could not say that word. Appellant side.
You got it.
I got it out.
It's Monday.
No testimony was taken at that time. And with that, I will hand over to Ms. Wilson for the oath.
Thank you, Ms. Oler. I will swear in all who are present for this matter. I'll have you raise your right hand, and do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth? With your hand raised, please state your name, spell your name, give your address, and reply with I do. I'll start with you.
Patrick, Patrick, Ward, Ward, 571 Riverside Drive, Avon Lake, Ohio, 4400.
Okay, thank you. I'll go to you next.
Michaela, Mikayla, Highland, Hyland, and I reside at 740 Lear Road, Avon Lake, Ohio. I do.
Okay, thank you. I'll go to you next.
Kyle, Kyle, Manley, Manley, reside at 1900 King James Parkway, Westlake, Ohio. I do.
And right behind him.
Molly Finley, 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 FNLY, 1559 Mercy Drive, Brooklyn.
Anthony, ANTHONY, Santillo, SAMTILL, address 5600 Pleasant Valley Road, Parma, Ohio. Road 44129.
I do. Joe Dill, JOEDILL. Address is 3619 West 129th Street in Cleveland, 4411.
I do. Tom, TOM, Kazanis, KAZANAS. And my address is 2030 Baxterly Avenue, Lakewood, Ohio, 44107.
I do. Nate Law with Cleveland City Planning. 601 Lakeside Avenue, I do.
All right, I think we have everyone sworn in. Madam Chair, back to you.
Super, thank you. All right. We will go to history of the property.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We didn't find very much on this address. We did find that it was originally zoned general retail, and then in 2008, it was changed to residence office. The only thing we found for the address in our records administration office was that in 1963, a permit was issued to erect a metal and plastic business sign. There are no variances on file and nothing of note in the more recent history. Thank you.
Well, that's not much. Legal clerk, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Pelham is requesting a use variance and an area variance from the minimum distance requirements of the zoning code. To obtain a use variance, Pelham must prove that denying the request results in an unnecessary hardship similar to properties such as open no economic activities will use the property without variance. With private Pelham of substantial property rights, the granting variance will not be contrary to purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, Pelham must prove that denying the request with great practical difficulty not generally shared by the land or buildings in the same district, privately owned of substantial property rights, and the granted variance will not be contrary to purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Super, thank you. All right, who's going to be the spokesperson?
Please, the board, my name is Patrick Ward. I'm representing Michaela Highland in Wildflower Art Collective LLC. I'm an attorney. The property owner is represented here by Anthony Santillo. He was planning to make the initial comments. If the board will allow it, I would like to make some additional remarks as well, as he is Ms. Highland's attorney.
Okay, and tell us again, the name of the business Ms. Highland is?
The name of the entity is Wildflower Art Collective LLC. The
Okay.
DBA business is Reflection Room.
Reflection.
Correct.
So this will be your studio then?
Both of ours were co-owners.
Both of yours, okay. All right. All right. All right, so who then wants to go first? You, sir, you're the property owner?
Yes, I'm Anthony Santillo.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
I've been putting a lot of money into the building. It's been stressful renting out that spot. Redid most of the storefronts and a lot of the apartments also. Got everything rented out now. The spot as you were facing the building to the right, he just rented it out about a year ago. It's a taxi service. He moved from Westlake into there. And he's been more than happy with the spot because there's 12, 13 parking spaces in the back, plus there's an additional 4 in front. And the other, what Michaela's looking at, that whole storefront had been redone a little over about a year and a half ago, possibly 2 years, in great condition as she has seen it. I'm asking for the zoning for her due to the fact it's been stressful not being able to get a tenant. But there's also plenty of businesses around there. There's a bar across the street, 2 doors down, there's a coffee shop. West Park Animal Clinic just put up a huge hospital right there also across the street. 2 doors down, there's another building identical to mine that has 2 more businesses. And across the street from that, there's a strip with all kinds of other businesses also. And I'm also working with West Park Development. They saw that we were doing a lot of work around the building and Joe? Oh, Joe.
Never been a good fan.
And,
You're cute, you're turning pink. It's okay.
we're gonna be going forward with a mural the city would be doing on the side. And also, we're gonna be changing out the awnings in front, the main door. I got another company giving me a quote on retuck the whole front, so,
Oh, wow,
yeah.
okay.
I put the money already on the inside of the building, I'm willing to put it on the outside. Things can go well here today.
So, I believe if I'm correct, you are on the west side of the street, right? And
Yes.
north of the animal hospital and sort of across from the convenience store.
Right, there's a convenience store also on the,
Right. So we've had the convenience store and the animal hospital before us, so we're
right,
fairly
there-
familiar
There's
with.
also a bar across the street from me, and, there's another, there's actually two convenience store, well, one's a mom and pop convenience store.
Yeah.
There's that there, there's a mechanic shop, about 70 feet.
What's the name of the bar across the street? Is that Provisions?
Can't remember the name.
Yeah, okay, all right. All right, so we have a handle on the area.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So that's good. So if you don't mind, do you want to make comment, Joe?
Yeah, so I'm Joe Dill, the Deputy Director for West Park Ham's Neighborhood Development, the CDC that services the area where this property is located. So wanted to be here to voice our support of this business in Michaela. We've been in talks with the whole group for the past couple weeks. She shared several letters from her existing neighbors for her other two locations, just saying that she's a great neighbor to have and an asset to the community. As an organization, it's one of our priorities to attract more business to Rocky River Drive, specifically south of Lorraine. And we think this is a great fit for the property. As Anthony's mentioned, we're in talks with him potentially to use this project for the Cleveland Neighborhood Progress's Middle Neighborhood Initiative to do some exterior improvements. And then we also have a grant to do some public art. And so the south facade of his property,
Yeah.
it would be a great fit for that program as well. So we're in talks with him for those two. So we think this will be a win-win for the neighborhood on multiple fronts.
Okay, this is part of the storefront renovation or?
Yeah. So they have an interior white boxing component which wouldn't fit for this, but there is also a facade improvement similar to like a storefront renovation program. So we're just kind of putting together like a wish list then and see what we can plug in
Super.
with them. So.
Super. You're nodding your head. Are you part of the CDC or?
I am the realtor representing Reflection Room.
Okay, you're the realtor.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I've been involved with these gentlemen from the beginning and really here as also like a character witness to Michaela and Kyle and their business, how they run things. It will be a big asset to the community.
Okay.
And they're both philanthropic and I think can only improve the site there. And
Okay.
it seems like a great marriage between the two of them.
Yeah, yeah. You ma'am, did you have anything you wanted to say?
No.
Okay, all right. All right, I'm gonna go back to Michaela, or not to leave out Kyle, but it's
exciting about these things.
he looks like you're walking promotion. My mind went to something else, but anyway, so it came up in comments that you have other locations. Do you want to tell us where those are and about those?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So we have locations currently, our flagship, our first locations in Avon Lake, Ohio. There we took off faster than we expected. Our main points of focus are not just body art. We also do permanent cosmetics and medical tattoo. So we're known in the Northeast Ohio area because we really are the only business of our kind to exist for gender affirming care and for post-mastectomy offerings. So we have a lot of referral partnerships with local clinics that provide those services as well from the medical standpoint. And then we do kind of the closure care for those things. So we ended up gaining a lot of traction. We opened our second location in Vermillion, Ohio, where a lot of our referral partners reside in terms of medical practices. And we were able to launch that successfully in 2022. We've been open for 2 years nearly now. And we've had a great experience. We've been able to bring over 23 jobs between both locations to the areas and improve things economically. We support our local communities. We're very active in Pride. We're very active in philanthropic endeavors in terms of research for breast cancer and also supporting the local arts. We typically, on an average, each year donate around $9,000 worth of services to survivors of breast cancer and those seeking gender affirming care. And we also have raised through our annual fundraising with Susan G. Komen of Northeast Ohio. We typically raise about $5,000 for the area. So we are very active in those communities. We have a lot of community support and a close relationship with our city councils and with our community at large in Avon Lake and Vermillion. A lot of my referral partners personally, because I'm one of the artists, do come from University Hospitals, Cleveland Clinic, and the medical resources in Cleveland proper. We would like to be in this West Park neighborhood to provide more access to care and also allow our referral partners to give a closer option and resource than just the other locations. I have also trained other artists in the same practice, and everyone on our staff holds a medical related degree that is practicing medical tattoo. Even though that it's not their scope of operation while they're tattooing, we all are informed and we try to operate at a high ethical standard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best GYN oncologists in the city is located in the Mall Pavilion, right on Lorraine. So would be an excellent resource in terms of the medical. And my other question, sort of unrelated to this, but are you doing any work with sex traffic victims who have been tattooed?
So I have in the past. I've done a lot of cover-up work in the past. It's not something that we see very often, thankfully, or at least that is being sent to us because our focus is on the medical aspects I told you. Something I focus on, which is a little taboo to talk about in these settings sometimes for people, is female genital mutilation. So we have a large immigrant population in Cleveland.
Yeah.
I have a lot of students that attend Case Western, that attend Cleveland State, that have come from other countries and are unfortunately victims of female genital mutilation. And I work a lot with scar camouflage and reconstruction as part of their training. So that's something that I do in the Cleveland area. It'd be nice to have a location and myself be able to work out of that location a few days a week to offer closer care, because a lot of these people are students that don't necessarily have the easiest path of access to Avon Lake, where they could take public transportation to Cleveland.
Right, particularly since you're right at the hub there.
Yeah.
With north, south, and east, west lines.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine is a sex traffic victim who's not an advocate. And one of the biggest things for her was to have a cover done of her tattoo when she was a victim. So if I can, I'll connect you to.
Yeah, I would love
So,
to. We really pride ourselves on operating in a very wide ethical scope. We wanna do good with tattooing. And so having the ability to operate in this space and make those connections and work with like the LGBTQIA+ community in this area would be incredible.
Okay, all right, excellent. All right, sir, did you have anything, since you're acting as counsel for everyone?
Yes, I would like to address the board. Thank you for
Yeah.
your time this morning.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned earlier, my name is Patrick Ward. I'm from the law firm of Dooley Gambala, which is located in Sheffield Village. And I represent Michaela Highland and Wildflower Art Collective LLC. Now, as I'm sure you've gathered by now, Michaela and her company wants Kyle, they intend to lease the property at 4098 Rocky River Drive, Cleveland, from Mr. Santillo's company. And the property, as you know, is currently owned by Rocky River Rental Property Limited. And I thought first I would touch on the legal aspects of what it is that my client, Mr. Santillo, are asking the board to do today. And first, I wanted to mention that I think there are really two components to this with regard to the use variance request. The first argument that I would like to make on behalf of the applicant and my client is that the nature of the business that Ms. Highland is going to conduct or would conduct at this location, I would argue falls within the scope of section 337.10C1. And what that means, as you know, is that if that is the case, then her business would be considered a permitted use under that section. And the reason why I say or argue that it's permitted use is because this business is not what would commonly be known as a tattoo parlor or a tattoo shop. It's much different. And Michaela has already touched on many of the reasons why this is not a tattoo parlor. The core of her business focuses on, she mentioned, the medical aspect. The core of her business is providing custom cosmetic and medical body art services. And even, I would ask the board to conclude today that really what this is it is indeed an administrative, it falls within the ambit of an administrative and professional office building. And it's very different from a tattoo parlor because it's not open to the general public. You can't simply walk in the door and get a tattoo. It's an appointment-based only platform. You have to contact Ms. Highland's business in advance and book an appointment. Oftentimes there is a consultation involved at a time. These appointments are booked out months. Most of the time they're months in advance. And one of the things she shared with me this morning when we were talking is that her calendar is booked out, I believe she said, over a year. So this is not a situation where folks are continuously going in and out of the property. In fact, they're not allowed to do that. You cannot enter that property, enter this business without an appointment made ahead of time. It is not a public facing or public serving facility. Again, it is a private appointment-based business, which is why I would argue that it falls within the scope of an administrative or professional office building, much like a dentist office or a general medical practitioner. You have to call ahead of time and you have to make an appointment. You can't just simply walk into a dentist office and say, hey, I want to get my teeth cleaned, right? So that's why I say I think this really is comparable to a doctor's office or a dentist's office or another type of professional office atmosphere rather than a tattoo parlor because of the very unique services that the reflection room provides.
If I could interrupt you.
Sure.
What actually are the hours of operation?
We don't have hours of operation, so typically it would depend on the practitioner. So the intention there is to have an artist come on, addition to myself, and we would be operating typically like 10 a.m. to like 3 p.m. or like 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's not a long day. People can't really sit for these types of services long term, so it's typically like 2 people at 2 hours during a day.
So what we would need to know is like, are you gonna have, would you need to have access to the building like at 9 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night?
I would say
Just to have some sense of when someone might be occupying the building.
there might be an outlier appointment every once in a while where I have a lot of nurses that work late
Sure.
hours that'll come in like late and stuff. I wouldn't say a lot, but like maybe 1 or 2 times a year I stay past 11. But there's like most days I'm out, like on a regular calendar week, I'm in at 10, I leave by like 2 or 3. There's not many days that I do run over, but those instances do exist, and I don't want to speak for another party because I could have another party come on that would necessarily, maybe they work noon to 7 or something like that. I don't want to, give false promises, but we won't be in there at all hours of night. This isn't going to have like a lot of riffraff or anything like
Right.
that.
When you said 11, did you mean 11 a.m. or 11 p.m.?
11 a.m., but sometimes I've had to stay past like 11 p.m. if we've had like events and things like that. When we do our
Okay.
fundraising events, which is like once a year, we typically do it in October for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We typically run those events for 12 hours, but that is like an isolated
Okay, all right.
thing.
So typically what we do is we give you a range that's a little bit on either side
Yeah,
of what you would typically operate in. So in this sense, I think we'd probably say 9 to 9. And
Yeah.
then with the exception of any special events, you could go to, 11.
that's more than reasonable, and I
Okay.
appreciate that.
And not to interrupt you, sir,
Right.
but we have these frequently, so, So, and we appreciate your details, but we kind of cut through some things.
Sure.
'Cause-
I just have, could I just finish?
Yeah,
I'll try to make it short, I
Absolutely,
promise.
yeah.
I don't want to take up too much of your time, but, so I guess my point is that the business model here is really focused on healing, okay? It's, and for all the reasons that Stylen mentioned and that I mentioned previously, we would argue to the board that this is in fact, the nature of this business is such that it is in fact a permitted use within 337.10C1, or which is applicable to a residence office district. Now, I would also say to the board, while we feel very strongly that the board should come to that same conclusion, even if the board were not to deem this a permitted use in the relevant district, it is appropriate for the board to grant a use variance. You heard Mr. Santillo talk about the difficulty he's had in leasing this property. I believe you can certainly ask him where, but I believe he told me before the hearing today that property had been vacant for approximately a year. And I think that because of the unique nature of this business, consider that in conjunction with Mr. Santillo's testimony that he's had difficulty leasing this. And then also the other comments I made about why this really is a good fit for the neighborhood. I think use variance is appropriate. There are letters that I believe were submitted to the board previously from not only the city of Avon Lake, but the Reflection Room's current landlord, Hop Company, in support of the Reflection Room and the experience that they've had with business. And
At
They-
Koff Builders is
Yes,
the landlord of the Avon location? Okay,
Correct.
all right, I'm
um,
familiar with that,
Yeah,
The-
they gave,
very familiar.
I'm sure you are.
I think the other thing to keep in mind here too is that, of course, this is a business, right? It's Highland. Or business partner, they're making money, okay? But it's more than just about making money. It truly is about, as Kayla said, it's about a mindset of caring for the community, providing a truly unique service for people who really need it. I mean, I know she gave some examples, but in my discussions with her, she's talked about things like scar concealment, people who have been involved in accidents or fires, recreating eyebrows for folks who have undergone chemotherapy treatments, micropigmentation to mimic hair follicles for people who have suffered from cancer, repigmentation for individuals who have survived breast cancer. And so this is a really, really important service. And again, not to beat a dead horse, but this is again why this really is not a tattoo parlor. It's more of in the realm of a professional office, or professional medical setting. And then with regard to the area variance, I think I would suggest to the board that the policy behind 347.12B is at least with respect to the business being in close proximity to residential district. I think the policy really is or to preserve, protect the safety and well-being of the surrounding community, children, etc. And I know that Reflection Room has many safeguards in place. And perhaps Michaela can touch on this some more, but I know that they do not allow anyone to enter business who is under 18. And certainly not to get a tattoo. And she can speak more to that in detail, but I also would like to direct the board's attention to some precedent, which I think is important for the board to consider, and specifically, there was a business located at 11221 Detroit Avenue, Cleveland. The name of the business is Have Fun Tattoo, and they received approval from this board for a variance back on September 25th, 2023. At least that's what I gathered from my review of the record, the public records. And admittedly, Have Fun Tattoo is located in a local retail business district, not a residence office district, but I still think it's instructive because it's not in a general retail district, which is, as you know, is the section of the code that talks about what is commonly known as tattoo parlors, okay? And in that instance, the board did grant a variance for that business owner to conduct business, to operate a tattoo parlor. This business, I've never been there, but from what I've looked at their website, they appear to be more of a traditional tattoo parlor. I don't believe they offer medical tattooing. They are located, for my review of the public records, they are located within 1,000 feet of a school, Northwest School of the Arts, which is located at 1441 West 116th Street. They are also located directly across the street from a church known as the Iglesia Cristo. This is at 11228 Detroit Avenue. So I think the fact that the board granted a variance in that case, I wasn't here for that hearing, but I do think it's relevant here, just because of, this was a traditional tattoo parlor who was able to secure a variance. And then the other property that I'd like to direct the board's attention to is a business known as Two Sons Tattoo. This is another business which I would describe as more of a traditional tattoo parlor. It is located at 16900 Moraine Avenue, of course, Cleveland, Ohio. And it is located immediately next to a child care facility known as Future Kids Activity Center. This is a daycare facility. That is what they do. It's a daycare facility. It is right next to Two Sons Tattoo. That business, in other words, Future Kids Activity Center, from what we can tell from our research, was established prior to Two Sons Tattoo. In other words, when Two Sons Tattoo opened up their business, the daycare center was already there in that location.
Right, I believe you're correct.
So, and this is also Two Sons Tattoo is in the Camps Corner area or district, not all that far from the desired location of Reflection Room at 4098 Rocky Drive. So, again, I think when you consider testimony of witnesses here today, and the comments that I made, I think I would urge the board to conclude that because of the unique nature of the business, that it is in fact a permitted use under 337.10 C1. But even if the board does not come to that conclusion, I would urge the board to grant a use variance and also, of course, to grant area variance. When I looked at the zoning maps, the two other businesses that I referenced are both immediately next to residential districts, very much like 4098 Rocky Drive. So you have, in the case of Two Sons Tattoo, you have Ferndale Avenue, which runs right behind the area where the business is located, and Have Fun Tattoo also is located, it is on Detroit Avenue, but it is located right next to the residential area. So we would urge the board to determine that desired business here is a permitted use, but even if it's not, we would urge the board to grant a use variance. Area variance, we think that the reflection room would really complement the area well because of the nature of the business. Community contributions that Ms. Highland has referenced, I think they would be a valuable partner for it.
Right, thank you. I'm gonna go to Ms. Wilson. You're all set? I thought I was gonna ask you, Ms. Wilson, well, does practice law, as well, she's sitting on the board, is an attorney. So I was gonna ask you if he covered everything. Okay, great. Ms. Holzer, you have anything?
So I heard hours of operation, we're gonna be flexible, so 9 AM to 9 PM
With exception for events,
with exception.
to 11 PM.
With, oh my gosh, I can't spell today, exception, events, okay. And then-
And, I'm sorry, go
No,
ahead.
that's okay.
Question for either of you two probably. How many employees do you expect to have? I realize they're not gonna be all there at once, but, just your expected employment anticipated employment.
So it'll depend on what nature people will be there. So like I said, I'm gonna be there in a part-time capacity. So if we find 2 people in a part-time capacity or, 1 in full, it kind of depends on our hiring journey. But I would say between 1 and 4 maximum.
Okay. All right. And you don't anticipate that they would all be there, should you max out?
No, not all at the same time.
You're not gonna have that many chairs, are you?
No,
Okay.
we wouldn't have that many people there all at once.
Okay, all right.
This will be our smallest facility.
Okay, all right. And, you're leasing, what's the term of the lease?
In terms of the lease, it's a 3-year lease.
3-year lease.
3-year?
If you were concerned about the parking, the taxi service next door, he said his 2 spots in front are also almost available because he's never there. And plus,
Hopefully he's never there. He's out there driving, right?
well, actually, I don't think he does it. He actually rented part of the parking lot across the street for his taxis.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right, all right.
And then there's additional parking in the back.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, I think I made note of that. We had, somewhere I had that. There we go. 12 in the back and 4 in the front, I think you said.
We had this demonstrated with no front parking because there's been ample parking every time that we visited the property.
Perfect.
So there really isn't a need for front parking for us when we consider both client and artist parking. So I don't anticipate parking being anything that ever arises as a complication.
Okay. Mr. Lull, I don't want you to feel left out. Are you speaking on behalf of city planning?
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair. Nate Law with City Planning. We're supportive of the variance today for all the reasons that the appellants demonstrated. I think there's definitely something to be said about the restriction of residence office zoning on a retail corridor. Within the context of Rocky River Drive is, very much, it's a mixed use corridor. There's some, older storefront buildings like this one. There's some residential buildings, but ultimately it is a retail corridor. It is a main street corridor. I think this business would fit in justifiably well there. The only, I think when we spoke a few months ago with the applicant, I think we relayed to them that there's either a 5 or 10 foot setback on Rocky River Drive in which no parking is technically allowed. In many cases, it does happen today because of existing conditions, and I'm not sure when that setback was put in place. But we just expressed to them that if it's possible to restrain all parking to the rear of the property, which it sounds like they're doing.
Okay,
Because it is an existing zoning regulation, but oftentimes on the corridor, it's not been followed,
Do
so
we have a landscaping strip that exists on this parcel? No,
don't believe so.
okay. Is it all apron?
Yes, it's all in.
It's all apron, okay, all right. Do we have tire stops at the fronts of the parking spaces? Okay, if you're amenable to that, I think it's always prudent to put those in, so, no one accidentally drives into the building for your protection. I had that happen at my hair salon, it was a mess.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I mean, not my personal hair salon, the one where I go, but, anyway, so a tire stop would have solved the problem. Okay, anything else from you, Mr. Dell? Okay. Ms. Kukla, did we have any correspondence on this?
No, we haven't received any emails,
Nothing
objections,
from-
or support, nothing from the council.
Okay, all right. And I think that is the concern of the council person, based on my conversations with him and his testimony of other cases, for this artery, is that it is a gateway from the airport, especially into the CAMS area. And, so whatever can be done in terms of, updating the buildings and, any, landscaping that be done, that sort of thing, planters maybe out front, that sort of thing. So that,
The whole side of it, all next.
yeah, and you're gonna have the mural going up, okay. So I think we've covered everything. Any other questions? Okay. Motion?
Motion. I think we recognize this is a very antiquated portion of our zoning code. So having heard testimony from city planning, the CDC, the owner, the business owner, their legal representation. And I'll just make a note that the business that will be going in has hours of operation of 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. with flexibility when it comes to events, so potentially going as late as 11 p.m. The business will be by appointment only and potentially have up to 4 staff. Having heard that testimony, and any friendly amendments to that? No? Okay. Having heard testimony, I move approval of calendar number 24-075.
Great. Ms. Wilson seconds. Ms. Kukla, if you'll call the vote.
Ms. Holzer?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Faith?
Yes.
Calendar number 24-075 is granted. It'll be ratified next Monday. We will send you a letter, but please feel free to contact us next Wednesday for further instruction.
Thank you to the board.
Thank
Yep,
you.
good luck.
Thank you. Very well prepared. If you have a card on you, I'll pass it along to my.
I just switched persons and I don't know if I do.
Okay.
Do you have one? Who's saying to give you my info though?
I'll just pass it along to her. You can do it the old fashioned.
Yeah.
Very. This is.
Feel like we were too anxious about everything else.
Well, it's nice that you brought everyone along.
Yeah, we were stressing.
I have to say, we love it when we have all the parties involved, so it sort of crosses all the Ts and dots all the Is, so.
I put my business number on there as well, so you
Super.
can call her to text.
All right, I'll pass it
Whatever.
along to her because, that's something she's really working to advocate for, so.
Yeah, I would actually love to be part of that, so
Yeah.
that sounds really
Yeah,
cool.
it's, she has stories to tell, so, yeah. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
everything.
everybody.
Good luck, everybody.
All right, that concludes our cases for today. All right. We'll go to, Liz, with regard to the resolution for West 130th Street. Yes. Did you get the email about adding just a couple extra things to that? The fencing was the big part of it for the councilman's concern.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see that. Was that, did you send that this weekend?
Yeah, I probably went over the weekend, yeah.
Okay, so should we hold it or would you like me to?
No, I think just, if you'll just, I think everyone's in agreement, because the councilman and the CDC representative was here representing the councilman, his concerns about making sure the fencing went up. We just want to make sure that, I think that bit of language is included in there. And, the, landscape strip that is commensurate with the fencing. And I think that would probably make the councilman happy to have that language in there.
So I'm not sure if it was part of the motion, but you would be fine with me just putting the testimony or some.
Yeah, is that it? Are you all in agreement with that? Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
all right. I'll do
Okay, so we have agreement. All right, so.
Okay.
Old business I have is not highlighted, so. So that's the only one that we had then, the only resolution.
The first one.
Yeah, so with that amendment to the language, then, resolution number 1, calendar number 24-086 is without objection, board?
Without objection.
All right, great. Unanimous on that. And what is this we have upcoming?
Yeah, so July 15th, that's this Monday, this coming Monday. The case 24-089 regarding 4843 Wendell Avenue. Shelter of the People proposes to establish the use as a church and charitable offices and assembly space. You may remember they were looking to do residential or extended stay type of situation, like
This
actual
is
shelter.
This is the architect that bought the building that
Yeah.
wanted to put that in.
They were using it as a temporary.
Yeah.
facility.
And we had considerable pushback from
The
community.
neighbors.
She owns the building for the application to use it as, she resubmitted for, use it for alcohol, Alcoholics Anonymous, and like a meeting gathering space in her offices for her organization children.
Okay,
So the letter not conforming to.
okay. All right, and the councilman is requesting the postponement.
Yes, I can meet with the
He
applicant.
hasn't met with her?
No, not yet.
Okay,
Yes, I don't believe so.
all right.
I haven't spoken with her directly, so, but he's asking for more time.
All right,
To
how much
review
more
the-
time does he want?
You know, he didn't give us a specific time frame. Generally, we do. Let me double check. Sure. Been any communication from the owner with Slavic Village, city planner, or his office regarding what the plans are. He wants further information, and that's it. He doesn't express a time period, so.
So I feel like there's probably gonna be a community meeting involved,
Yes.
so
probably
we should
ideally
give them
the end of
minimum
August or
30.
minimum 30 days.
probably longer.
So, August 26th is the end of August. And Labor Day would not interfere with that. Labor Day is the first week
Okay.
in September.
Let's
So-
make sure we have a full board.
So second week in September would be the 9th. I
Okay.
wanted to push it out a little bit further.
How's
than
everyone's
that.
September looking? Okay, all right.
So Ms. Leonard did state she has been in the process for a little while, so
Yeah,
let's say go with the August or August 19th.
okay, how's everybody looking August?
I've not.
Did we not just have that discussion about the 19th?
Oh, the August 19th would be a difficult.
If I could get a virtual option.
For the 26th?
Let's go to the 26th. All right. So calendar number 24-089 is postponed.
So I'm wondering if we can have some research done on this. She's establishing as a church, but from what I heard, there's no church use, there's only AA use. I'm just not entirely sure whether AA applies to a level of the church. I see you, you're ready to pipe up, Shannon.
Yeah, so on her application, she wrote, she wanted to use it as a church back to its original use. The building itself, and then she submitted a whole packet that I think, I don't know if you have it, but it's in the application. And basically detailing all the court cases of how AA has been considered a worship religious organization and how they are been given the rights of, you know, being a religious entity.
Yeah, I mean,
I
that's
have a
right,
copy.
I love our legal team to.
Right, so,
Because I don't know if our research is.
It's put up to par with the
right,
standard. We talked about this, Mary, remember this is the Shelter the People.
Yeah.
Group and the AA meetings, the packet she submitted, with using our group as a basis of being a place of worship. The building itself is a church. It was built as a church.
right, but that doesn't
That doesn't
constitute,
constitute a church,
yeah,
so
that doesn't constitute a church, so.
the application, she said she wanted to use it as a church and as administrative offices for her. I think that's how they do it. We go based off the application.
So we need some sort of,
She that on it too.
no, we just moved her to August 26th at this point. But Ms. Wilson's question is warranted. If she wants to establish use as a church, but she's not actually conducting any sort of religious services, or she's only conducting AA meetings, can she qualify for use as a church?
We are still on the record.
Yes, we are still on the record. All right, let me adjourn this. We're adjourned. Off the record. Thank you, Joy.
Should we be off the record? I wonder, Mary, should we be off the record right now?
For this discussion, because we're still discussing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they're just asking for
Yeah.
research. They're just asking for, we're not necessarily discussing the case, are we? Or we're just discussing the research that Ms.